Hello, this is Abundant Grace, and I'm just doing a little video tutorial on how to set up TouchOSC to translate parameters from BrainFlowsIntoVRChat into any parameters you want to actually send to VRChat or your avatars. So, as you can see, I have it running here. This is a tutorial following instructions from U203D, who showed me how to do this. So, first thing you'll have to do is get TouchOSC. So you can go to their website, they've got a download section, pick your version, install it. Pretty straightforward. When you launch it, trial version, you'll just have to wait for this little counter. And close that. And first thing we'll have to do is set up the connections. So go to Edit, Connections. And we need to have two OSC connections. So connection 1, we're going to set it to UDP localhost. And we're going to use port 9002. VRChat uses port 9000 and 9001, and so this is just the next one in order. If that conflicts with anything that you may be using, pick a different port. Our second connection, similar, except port 9000. Oh, and this is going to be receive port 9002 on connection 1, send port 9000 on connection 2. When you're done with that, hit done. And on your stage area here, right click, you can add a fader. You can change the color of the fader here. You can change the orientation of the fader. You can scale it differently, however you want. That's just all visual stuff. Down a little bit from that under messages, this is where the work is going to happen. So, the first OSC here, we're going to uncheck send, have receive only on connection 1. That's our port 9002. Go ahead and delete name under address, and that slash there, highlight that, and you can start typing. So it's going to start out with avatar/parameters. Slash, and now we need to look at the documentation, the README file in BrainFlows, and right in this section, this is going to give us our pathing for what OSC parameters we're going to be receiving. So I'm going to do focus average. That's what I mainly use. One of the easiest ones to start out with. So our pathing is going to be /BFI/NeuroFB/FocusAVG. Type that in. Then you can click on this little X by the arguments, and BrainFlows will send a value from -1 to 1. So we'll change our scale from -1 to 1, and that'll be a float value. Once you have that, you can minimize that OSC. We're going to add a second OSC. And this one, we're going to set to send only. So uncheck receive, send to connection 2. That's our VRChat connection on port 9000. We'll delete name again. The address. So we'll do avatar/parameters slash. And now this is where you can look up your avatar parameters. In VRChat, you go into your radial menu, Under Options, Config, you can open up Debug. And on the left side, you'll see all the parameters to do with this avatar. So we'll go to ear and tail poses, ear poses, and I want to just raise and lower the ears. So here, all the way up, they're actually flared forward. All the way down, they're down. So I kind of want to set this just to go up and down, not to flare forward like that. And if your parameter isn't showing on this page in VRChat, use page up and page down to scroll. In VR, unfortunately, you do need to use a physical keyboard to do this. If you're trying to use it through OVR Toolkit keyboard, it's not going to work, unfortunately. Page down till you find your parameter, and for this, the parameter is ears Y. It's about in the middle of the page there. You can see it changing. So it's capital E, ARS, capital Y. We'll go back to TouchOSC and we'll finish off our send here. Here's Y. Now for arguments, remember all the way down was -1, all the way up was +1. But +1 was with the ears flared forward. I don't want it to go that far, so I'm just going to go from -1 to 0. So you can set your range that you're actually sending. It's still a float value. You can change that to other data types if you want. Here we'll leave it on float, and we're actually all set up on TouchOSC. The next thing to do is to set parameters for BrainFlows. I've made a batch file to make this easy to launch. And so here I'm launching TouchOSC. And then I'm launching BrainFlows. And I've have my argument for board ID. And right after that, I have another argument I've added. --OSC-port base 9002, which if you remember, that's that first receive connection I set up in TouchOSC. So now, BrainFlows will be sending its OSC data into port 9002, which will go into TouchOSC, and TouchOSC will be sending to port 9000 for VRChat. And once that is set up, all you do is launch BrainFlows, which I already have it running, and you hit this play button up top on TouchOSC, and you can see I'm passing data through the focus, and that is let me exit this here. That is now passing OSC data straight into VRChat. We can close the debug menu. Debug off. There we go. We're set up. And you can see the slider, the fader moving. Focus. And unfocus. That's it. That's a full setup. So once you have one of them set up, it's easy to add others. I'm going to open up my file I've been working with here. And you see I've added multiple faders. This one's relax. Just for fun of looking at them, I added alpha through, call it gamma on left and right, just because I like to watch the faders go. I don't have them hooked up to anything right now. For your OSC sends, you can add as many sends as you want. Your avatar will only take in what's relevant to that avatar. So here I have this one for this avatar, set ears Y. I have another one where I'm controlling neck length. I have another one where the parameters is ears ver. I have another one controlling hue, another avatar controlling tail vertical, another one where I'm controlling an effect, and it's actually a integer value from 0 to 4. And so this is actually translating your float input from BrainFlows into an integer output. And you can do Boolean as well. And I'm not sure what you use string for, whatever. But that's how you set it up. And then similarly on the relax average, my other fader, you can have, here we're taking relax average in. We're sending to, I have this disabled right now. You can enable and disable these checkboxes. And that's sending to ears ver on another avatar, so on and so forth. That's all there is to it. Have fun with your avatars and your brain tracking.